All right, we got some news here today. The Padres have hired a couple of coaches to their 2026 coaching staff under first-year manager Craig Stammen, and the two, according to Dennis Lynn, Randy Knorr will be the team's bench coach, and then it will be Steven Sousa Jr. as the hitting coach. Steven Sousa Jr., obviously a former big leaguer and someone that many Padres fans know because we're baseball fans, and we know that that guy wasn't the best hitter at the plate, and so that was the immediate reaction to that. My immediate reaction to Randy Knorr was, "Who the heck is that?" And I watched a lot of Washington Nationals games, when Bryce Harper and Steven Strasburg were on the Nats. So, you know, I probably shouldn't have known the bench coach of the Nats, but, like, looking up his resume and what he had done, I was surprised to see that he had been on the Nats in those years as a bench coach. I knew who their manager was, obviously, and that's the front-facing role, and so that's that, really. Like, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention to who the bench coach was, but them hiring someone like Randy Knorr, I'm totally fine with it, and I don't have that strong of an opinion on them hiring Steven Sousa Jr. because I'm looking at it from, like, a realistic perspective, and not just, "Oh, he wasn't great. He didn't have a Hall of Fame hitting career, so he's not gonna be a good hitting coach," you know? But starting off with Randy Knorr, who is Randy Knorr? This is someone that has a ton of experience in Major League Baseball. He was a player for the Blue Jays, the Astros, the Marlins, the Astros again, the Rangers, and then the Montreal Expos. He's been a coach for a long time with the Washington Nationals in 2006, and then 2009 to 2015. And then more recently, he came back to the Nationals before being let go in October. He's managed before. He's managed in the minor leagues before. Bullpen coach for the Nats. He was promoted to bench coach in 2012, served in that capacity under Davey Johnson. Matt Williams had some pretty successful teams that he was a part of there, and some big time players like a Bryce Harper. So being able to handle that sort of stuff, I don't see there being any issue there. Um, Matt Williams was fired shortly after 2015, and so obviously there was a change in the coaching staff there and how things were going to be run. So Randy Knorr ends up not having his contract renewed, but he does shortly rejoin the Nationals organization after that. He was named the manager of the Syracuse Chiefs, the Nats AAA affiliate, in 2017. Um, First base coach for the Nats during COVID. In 2021, was removed from that position, assigned a player development role, let go by the Nats in October of 2025. So that's his Wikipedia. Um, a lot of playing experience. Um, Former catcher, so that fits with the whole bench coach thing and strategy and all that. So totally fine with it. This isn't someone that was a bench coach for an unsuccessful team. I know the Nats didn't win a World Series while he was, as a bench coach for Matt Williams or Davey Johnson, but those are pretty good baseball minds that he was under, and he's dealt with a lot of really good players. I think he has some sort of relationship with Craig Stammen because their time overlapped there, obviously, with Stammen in the Nats organization. So there's the familiarity there. So yeah, like I wanted the bench coach especially when Craig Stammen is a first year guy. And sure, we've talked about Craig Stammen knowing what he's talking about and all that with his big league experience. But I want someone there that has managed before, which Randy Knorr has done, and someone that has done that role before at the big league level. And he's done it for years at the big league level for good teams, for contending teams, for World Series contending teams. So I'm good with it. I know there's going to be some fans that are going to be like, who the heck is Randy Knorr? And it's not a huge name. And so they're going to be like, what are the Padres doing? But just do a little bit of research and you'll understand the baseball background here. And there's a connection there to Craig, which I think is important in this role. And it's someone that has had success at the big league level. Now, Steven Sousa Jr. is interesting. Obviously, like I hit on earlier, the big league career, below average big league hitter. 229 average, OPS plus of 98, which is below average. Average is 100. But you don't have to be a great player, a great hitter to be a great hitting coach. And the classic example that I think of is Kevin Long. He's regarded as one of the, if not the best hitting coach in baseball. And can anyone tell me what he did in his big league career? Did he have a long big league career? Hall of Famer? Like the answer is no. So that's the obvious example that sticks out to me. And I think what people got to realize is being a hitting coach, maybe Steven Sousa Jr. in his career had a really good approach and he was a big studier of opponents and he had a really good game plan going up there and he helped his teammates out and had that impact, but he just wasn't as talented as some other guys. And hitting a round ball with a round bat is hard. But as a hitting coach, if you can do the same things that he was doing as a player, relaying information, signs, or not signs, sorry, but just opposing pitchers, looking at those opposing pitchers, being able to relay that information in a way that is that can be broken down easily, that can be understood easily. That's the word I'm looking for. By players, that's what matters in this role. You know, like you don't have to have this great career to be a great hitting coach. Um, yeah, rookie. We'll see how it goes. But I think obviously already being a former big leaguer, spent 8 years in the show, as Manny would like to say. I think you have that respect from players. Um, if they would have brought in, I'm not saying Pujols would have done it, but if they would have brought in Albert Pujols, of course there's credibility there, but I'm sure there's still credibility with Steven Sousa Jr. It's someone that's been in their shoes. You're not bringing in a guy that hasn't played at in the big leagues or that has 1 year of big league experience. Like this guy's been there. You look at the teams that he's played for, the Nats, that's where he overlapped with Craig Stammen there. The Rays, the D-backs, the Cubs, played with the Dodgers in 2021, played with the Mariners. So there are some pretty good teams there that he played for that know what they're doing, and he can bring some of that here to the Padres. So that's really how I'm looking at it. Is I can't really judge Steven Sousa Jr. This hire as him being the hitting coach. Is this something that I expected? Of course not. And we didn't expect Craig Stammen to be the manager. Wasn't expecting either of these names just because, well, I didn't know who Randy Knorr was. And Steven Sousa Jr. didn't even know that he was someone that was going to possibly join a coaching staff in the big leagues. According to the UT, Sousa takes over for Victor Rodriguez, left to be the hitting coach for the Astros. This will be the first big league coaching job for Sousa. Let's see. Spent the past year as a special advisor for hitting development for the Rays. So a little bit of background there. Has run a baseball instructional program in the Northwest since shortly after he retired as a player. 2014, Stammen and Sousa were teammates. Yeah, Padres, they're believed to be close to hiring a third base coach to replace Tim Leeper. Brian Esposito is being replaced, obviously, by Randy Knorr. Esposito will remain in the Padres organization in a role that has not been announced. So I'm happy about that because it does seem like from what we heard publicly about Brian Esposito, Espo, as I think is his nickname, as people like to call him, knows what he's talking about. And he's got a lot of coaching experience, some managing experience in the minors, I believe. So that's someone you want to keep around. And I would have been totally fine with Espo just continuing to be the bench coach. Because, I mean, the Padres won back-to-back 90-win seasons. And it seemed like he was a good asset to Ruben, to Schulte, and why would he not be to Stammen, you know? But Stammen comes in. I like that he's bringing in some familiarity with Randy Knorr and Steven Sousa Jr. as well, but definitely Randy Knorr. And again, it's someone that has done it before as a manager and as a bench coach and a first base coach. Like he's and a former player. So there's a lot of different things that he can pull from there. So Totally good with that. And we'll see what happens with Steven Sousa Jr. But also, like, I don't think it's right for people to judge the hire or even like the job Steven Sousa Jr. will end up doing because so much of their work we don't see, right? We'll see them in the dugout talking to players, but what's on the iPad that they're showing them? You know, what's happening in those pregame meetings? Are they good at those pregame meetings with hitters, preparing hitters for the opponent? Because if a player struggles at the plate, people like to blame it on the hitting coach, but what if the hitting coach prepared them? Sometimes baseball's just hard, or sometimes a player underperforms in a season. That's on the hitting coach, or is that on the player? Combination of both, but I think most of the blame should be on the player, not on the hitting coach. But fans, obviously, a lot of the blame goes to the hitting coach when things don't go well. So, yeah, those are the two hires for today Randy Knorr, Steven Sousa Jr. Wasn't expecting those, but it's the Padres. Expect the unexpected, really. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But yeah, so coaching staff wise, right now we got Ben Fritz and Ruben Niebla. Ruben Niebla is expected to get that title changed to associate manager, maybe and pitching coach. We'll see if Ben Fritz gets anything changed. Obviously, Stammen's managing. Got Knorr the bench coach, Souza hitting coach. Don't know how many assistant hitting coaches there will be or anything like that. I know that they had that in the past staff. First base, I believe it's still David Macias. Haven't heard anything different on that. Let me look up the rest of the coaching staff just so I'm not missing anyone. Just waiting for this to load. Mike McCoy, assistant hitting coach. Pat O'Sullivan, assistant hitting coach. Who else is on that side of things? Nick Punto, major league coach. We'll see if he stays. Morgan Burkhart, I think he's on the hitting side of things. Major league coaching assistant. Don't know if Scott Stroud is. But yeah, those are the guys that are on the hitting side of things. And then obviously Ruben, Ben Fritz, Peter Somerville, game planning and coaching assistant. Herberto Andrade, bullpen catcher, coaching assistant. Chris Apacchia, totally botched that, sorry, but I know he's on the pitching side of things. Craig Stammen has talked about him. And yeah, so we'll see who the third base coach ends up being, but it seems like Macias stays, which I haven't heard anything bad about him, so all good there. But yeah, just wanted to come on and give some brief thoughts on this. But yeah, Randy Knorr. Who is Randy Knorr? Well, he's a guy that's got a lot of experience. He's 57, a lot of experience with the Nats, and now he's going to come and get a new start with the Padres.